Hello, Pewter people. Scott Reynolds here with another Pewter Pulse. This one about Mike Evans and what's holding up that contract extension between Mike Evans and the Buccaneers. Lots of layers here. So let's get to it, starting with a press release from Mike Evans' agent, Derek Gilmore, Friday morning that reads in part, despite our efforts over the past 2 years and the professionalism of Bucs GM Jason Light and assistant GM Mike Greenberg, we have not received an offer to stay in Tampa. This is disappointing to Mike as he sees other teams step up to keep key pieces and players that are important to their organizations. Many players with his status would have held out of camp to not risk injury. But Mike has continued practicing hard, and as always, because he puts the team first. When you have a player that will be a Hall of Famer and still has 4 to 6 more years to make an impact in the league, you move heaven and earth to keep him on your team. And we would hope ownership, and that's the key word, ownership, feels the same way. The press release continues, we have been working on extending Mike's career with the Bucs for over a year, and we want the fans to know that this is not a tactic, and the ball is in the owner's court. Again, they use the word owner there. So from what I understand, what's keeping the Bucs from paying Evans what he wants, which is reportedly Cooper Kupp type money, and that's in the neighborhood of a 3-year deal worth $80.1 million over those 3 years, including a $75 million part of that deal that's guaranteed and $20 million in bonus money. Well, it's the Glazers. That's right. When you got Derek Gilmore talking about ownership and putting the ball in the owner's court, that's what it means. So that's the direction Gilmore is pointing in, not necessarily at Light or Greenberg, whom he praised in the press release. So that's one thing that's important to note is that maybe the hands are tied here with Mike Greenberg, the Bucs capologist, and Jason Light. But, there's a couple of scenarios that could be at work here. And this information is just kind of informed speculation and not necessarily inside information. I want to make that clear. The first of which is in recent years, the Glazers have seen Light and Greenberg take some calculated risks and let some of the team's top free agents actually hit free agency, only to re-sign with the Bucs for below expected market deals. I'm talking about Carlton Davis a few years ago, and both Jamel Dean and Levante David last year. Now, those risks paid off for the Bucs, and perhaps the Glazers are asking or demanding that the team take a similar approach with Evans to get the best deal possible. Or it could be that Light and Greenberg actually want to take this calculated gamble again and are telling Evans' agent that it's the Glazers' fault for not wanting to meet the 4-time Pro Bowler's contract demands. I don't know if that's the case. Given the fact that Evans was Light's first ever draft pick back in 2014 in the first round with the number 7th overall selection, there are some sentimental feelings here at work with Jason Light. I can't see Light necessarily wanting to take the risk of creating some bad blood with the Bucs star receiver and risk possibly losing him in free agency next year. That's why this feels like it might be a Glazer roadblock. Now, keep in mind that the Glazers let future Hall of Famers like Warren Sapp and John Lynch go. These were icons that left the organization in their prime to go elsewhere. It's been decades since that happened, but the Glazers have been down this road before in moving on from fan favorites. It's just a dangerous ground for the Glazers to even tread on when it comes to icons. As beloved as Levante David is, Mike Evans simply has more fans out there. After years of financing a Super Bowl caliber roster, which isn't just salary cap money, folks, it's actually hundreds of millions of dollars of the Glazers' cash, perhaps the Glazers are wanting to restock the coffers a bit. They don't have a crystal ball to see if the 2023 season will have this team back on the upswing or heading towards years of mediocrity like it was prior to Tom Brady's arrival in 2020. Maybe the Glazers are gun shy about paying huge contracts to players in their 30s, given what's happened with recent serious injuries to both Shaq Barrett and Ryan Jensen. Shaq turns 31 this year in the fall. Ryan Jensen's 32. There could be some merit to this. It's also fair to the Glazers to see if the Dave Canales experiment actually works and if Todd Bowles in his second season of head coach is actually worth keeping as the head coach for years to come. And also if Mike Evans is a good fit for this system and rebounds as a touchdown producer from where he has been in years past, which is double-digit touchdowns, to falling off a bit last year with just 6 scores. And to see if at age 30 he's worth investing in and for how much. Now, the good news is there is still time to get a deal done. But I wouldn't bank on a deal getting done before September 9th, which is the extension deadline that Derek Gilmore has laid out for the Bucks. But what I mean, there's still time. Keep in mind, there's still time between the end of the season in January. I don't think the Bucks are going to the Super Bowl, so February's out of the equation. But between the middle of January, let's say, if the Bucks make the playoffs, and middle of March, which is the start of free agency season, for a new deal to get done. Keep in mind, the Bucks can always use the franchise tag to keep Mike Evans as well. I'm suspecting a big year for Mike Evans is in store. I think he's a great fit for this Dave Canales offense, and this disappointing contract impasse should only motivate him to have a big season. So let's enjoy Mike Evans this fall, hope for the best, and know that this may not be his last season in Tampa Bay after all. There's still time after the season ends to get a deal done before free agency. Make sure that you are subscribing to Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel, for more Pewter Pulse episodes and other great Bucks video content. Follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report, and visit pewterreport.com for breaking news and game coverage this Buccaneers season. And I'll be back with another edition of the Pewter Pulse shortly.